The act of physical intimacy was portrayed in several different ways back in the day. If it was through the meeting of flowers, then so be it, or a tactful fade to black that just made the audience imagine the obvious. However, I have not seen a more creative way to portray a first kiss between a hero and a heroine than in the 1996 film Jaan, starring Twinkle Khanna and Ajay Devgan. With the MATLAB KUCH series, for anyone that is new here, we focus on the most absurd, illogical, regressive and tone-deaf sequences from Indian cinema. These range from defying the laws of physics, basic human decency and the most consistent culprit, dialogues and acts that are extremely regressive in nature. Jaan, directed by Raj Kanwar, is one of the most facepalm-inducing experiences I have had recently while going through the filmography of our biggest stars that started in the 90s. The movie features Shakti Kapoor probably looking his most handsome best on screen. I miss when movies used to portray villains as the most disease-ridden animals ever seen in society. Ajay Devgan strikes a deal with Suresh Oberoi to kill Twinkle Khanna because he has been offered a handsome amount, all for the treatment of his ailing mother. He protects her from a staged kidnapping to gain her trust and accompanies her as they relax in a cabin in the mountains. However, what makes this movie special is that you usually associate MATLAB KUCH movies with the men ogling, leching and stalking the women. But in this film, Twinkle Khanna can't help but be mesmerized by Ajay Devgan's dashing looks, so much so that she features in scenes just staring at him.
सनसनी 18 साल बेमिसाल रोज रात 11 बजे.
Ajay in the process also falls in love, fighting the urge of love because he has been hired to kill her. Twinkle loves getting into situations of life and death. She gets chased by a raging bull that Ajay saves her from. She walks on a bridge and almost falls in the raging river, but Ajay saves her, of course. And then, जब इतनी बार बचा ही दोगे तो प्यार तो हो ही जाएगा. This is when Twinkle Khanna goes full Kabir Singh ye mera banda hai mode. The red flags don't matter to her because she is obsessed, portrayed in the most hilarious scene.
क्या जानती हो तुम?
प्यार सब बता देता है. ये नहीं भी प्यार है.
काजल मैं तुम्हें कैसे समझाऊं?
ये मजबूरी भी प्यार है.
When push comes to shove and Ajay wants to avoid her, this is where Twinkle uses her trump card. And what is that? You guessed it right. Threaten.
अगर हमारी हथेली का जल गिर जाने तक तुमने कबूल नहीं किया, हम इस नदी में कूदकर अपनी जान दे देंगे.
On that note, I want to prepare you that this is a small glimpse of the MATLAB KUCH material we will be focusing on in this video. So sit back and relax and enjoy the ride because I am adamant that I will not suffer alone. But this will be a collective experience. So here is Tried&Refused Productions with 5 shocking Indian movie scenes you won't believe were approved. Bagban. There is a lot of discussion around films these days on what is based on real events and what is propaganda. But I believe if there is one film that fits the category of blatant, over-the-top Indian parent propaganda, it has to be the 2003 film Bagban. Probably the most watched movie on cable television in my house. Almost every Sunday when this movie played in my house, I had to deal with the commentary and side-eye glances of my Dadu and Dadi, as if I was responsible for the injustice happening on screen. I would find my Dadu cursing at the television, at the characters, reprimanding them. I would ask him why is he even watching if he is getting so progressively angry with the antics of the children in the movie, and he kept on reminding me that this is the harsh truth. Let's be clear before we talk about the movie that the children are absolute souls. No, honestly, they consider time being spent with their parents as a burden. They split the parents up hoping that they'll refuse the offer of spending time apart 6 months in each person's home, but bicker even more when they agree.
मैं खुद को नहीं संभाल सकता, उन दोनों को कैसे संभालूंगा?
I hope one never is even cursed with such children who only want to reconnect with their parents when they chance upon riches. However, why I feel the movie is clowned, trolled or is criticized today is because of its manipulative structure that is adamant to work in extremes. The film sets this unrealistic standard of expectations for Indian parents and how they should be treated, that love expressed to them should be of absolute admiration and worship, and anything else is considered to be unacceptable. This contrast is portrayed through the characters of Alok, played by Salman Khan, who appreciates the future his adoptive parents have gifted him, so much so that he doesn't sleep with his own wife, but at the feet of his god, his father. And on the flip side, disagreements in the form of their son, played by Sameer Soni, requesting his father to not use his typewriter late at night because people are trying to sleep and they have work tomorrow, a totally acceptable request, is portrayed as if the father has been reprimanded with swear words and banished from this house. Again, I want to reiterate, these children are absolute villains, let's be honest. They don't let the father sit at the head of the table. The daughter-in-law snatches the morning newspaper from him. The son scolds the father, stating that corporate competition is way tougher now versus when his father worked, while this bloody loser was asking his father for a loan and has the gall to lecture him about life. The problem is the extremes. Ungrateful children who consistently ridicule the parents, and the other who worships them.
डैड लाखों में खेल रहा है, लाखों में. So what, करण? हमें तो फूटी कौड़ी नहीं मिलने वाली.
Meanwhile,
ये जो मेरा जीवन है बाबूजी, ये आप ही की देन है.
It sets this unrealistic precedent that love for parents should be their blind worship, and anything contrary to it is an act of war. If all the parents who watched this movie were giving their children a side eye of judgment, I am glad that Amir Khan made Tare Zameen Par so that we could return the favor. Telusu Kada. This was probably one of the most infuriating movie experiences for me this year. You know what's the biggest ick about anyone, man or woman? When they have an arrogance and confidence about themselves, when spewing the most tone-deaf, half-information BS. This is precisely the description of our leading man Varun, played by Sidhu. The entire shtick this movie follows with the leading hero, or why he gets a pass, is that he hasn't lied to his partner. He hasn't just told the truth to her. A classic case of gaslighting and manipulating your partner, and each time he does this in the movie, it is followed by a wannabe slow motion walk away from the scene as if he said the most badass dialogue. He can't have a child with his partner, played by Rashi Khanna, so they opt for IVF. And the doctor who is consulting Rashi volunteers to become their surrogate. The doctor being Sidhu's ex, played by Srinidhi Shetty, who broke up with Sidhu. Sidhu withholds this information from Rashi until she gets pregnant with their baby, defending himself by saying that if he conveyed the truth to her before her pregnancy, she would not go along with the process of surrogacy. A complete breach of trust is consistently defended by the hero. He infuriated me, and I wasn't even in a relationship with him, as he was mansplaining in every conversation. Either telling the girl to lower her voice because the baby will be impacted, or telling the pregnant lady to take her medicine. You know the classic case of when someone is losing an argument, they either deflect the topic to your tone of voice or a random finger being pointed, all as a means to make you doubt yourself. The most sick aspect about the movie is that the reason Sidhu is driven to withhold information of Srinidhi, being his ex, is not because he wants her to bear their child for her caring nature, but it stems from spite, ego, and him still not being over his ex, driven by the most cringeworthy dialogue that goes, "If estrogen is this egoistic, just wait till you meet testosterone." Both Hindi and Telugu cinema has also made a staple best friend character who is always found to be lingering in the background, supporting each toxic decision of their leading hero friend. Sidhu makes Rashi feel consistently guilty for not having the ability to bear children, ordering her to take off her clothes before having sex. When protection isn't available, he tells her what's even the point anyway, already insinuating that she's useless as a woman. Everything Sidhu does, he defends it by saying he did it for the sake of the baby. Rashi justifiably wants a divorce for the way Sidhu acted. He insults her by calling her fat in a scene, delivers cringeworthy alpha male Andrew Tate dialogues like "power center should be with you," tells Rashi on how he is noble because he could have easily cheated on her, making her question her mindset for doubting him for holding his ex-girlfriend's hand while trying to comfort her. Each time he says something dumb like "I love my ex more than you, but I control my love," he walks in slow motion, getting out of the scene. All of this is also defended by the classic case of the hero saying, "I'm an orphan." Every dumb or toxic decision is defended with this lazy angle of him being abandoned as a child, stating he doesn't really give while being the most affected in scenes. In a terrible scene, Rashi's grandmother judges her for even thinking about leaving her husband, a man benevolent enough to make the public assume he is the problem biologically, shaming her for not having the ability to have kids, that she should be grateful. Where will she find a bigger man than this? In the conclusion, when he has had a child and Rashi agrees to stay in the marriage, he in the conclusion again delivered the dialogue, "If estrogen is this egoistic, just wait till you meet testosterone," completely disregarding any evolution then, and making everyone conclude that this was just an ego trip versus something sincere, nullifying the entire point of the movie. And shockingly, this movie is directed by a woman. Main Khiladi to Nadi. A classic from Hindi cinema, this movie is mostly remembered for the chemistry between Akshay Kumar and Saif Ali Khan and the great chart-busting dance numbers like Chura Ke Dil Mera and the title track. While the premise at hand regarding the villain has nothing particularly wrong being portrayed, it is the romantic relationships that throw regressive curveballs at you every step of the way. Before I get into that, I must show you the versatility of Saif Ali Khan, who posed as a Chinese wheeler dealer in the movie. We honestly got away with so much in the 90s. The insane part about this movie is that Saif Ali Khan plays the role of a popular Bollywood actor who Akshay Kumar's sister, played by Rageshwari, is obsessed with. When she first sees him appear at her house, she is spellbound, much to the annoyance of Akshay Kumar.
तुम्हें कैसे मालूम इसे भिंडी पसंद है?
मैंने इनका इंटरव्यू स्टारडस्ट में पढ़ा था.
She is an obsessive fan willing to do anything for him. Saif Ali Khan, much like popular actors, boasts and Phenko's stories about an obsessive fan and her Deewaniyat, being so crazy that she slit her wrist while trying to write his name.
मेरी इतनी दीवानी थी कि एक दिन उसने एक तेज छुरी लेकर अपनी कलाई पर मेरा नाम घोंप कर लिख दिया था. दीवानगी इसे कहते हैं. शिवांगी की दीवानगी तो इसके सामने कुछ भी नहीं.
Rageshwari, of course, gets an idea to prove her love to Saif, getting admitted in the hospital in the process. Saif rushes to the hospital and they romanticize such an act of self-harm.
कि सबसे बड़ी फैन मैं नहीं, कोई और है जिसने अपने हाथ पर प्लेट से आपका नाम लिख लिया था. मैंने भी कोशिश की.
This is not even the problem of the movie. You know what it is? Rageshwari and Saif Ali Khan need to convince Akshay Kumar, who is a sadhu of their union. Saif assumes that the only way Akshay will agree to their union is if love enters his life. So he plans, hear this out, to make him fall in love with Shilpa Shetty. But how will he pull this off? He will get him drunk, tell him that Shilpa needs protection in her apartment where she lives alone. He will make sure that he reaches her apartment and in cahoots with Shilpa takes off his clothes, making him assume as he wakes up naked that he took advantage of Shilpa physically at night.
तुमने तो मुझे बर्बाद कर दिया. मुझे कहीं का नहीं रखा. रात को जो जी में आया वो कर दिया ना.
Shilpa puts on an act of being abused at night, putting Akshay in a doozy on what to do. He asks Saif for help and he tells him the only two options available when you take advantage of a girl.
या तो बलात्कार के जुर्म में 7 साल कैद काट ले, या तो फिर उस लड़की के साथ 7 फेरे लेकर जिंदगी काट ले.
This is the context before Chura Ke Dil Mera, the iconic romantic song playing in the film. A girl trapping a man into love and marrying him by falsely accusing him of the foundation of any successful marriage. Ye Jawani hai Deewani. This is a Ranbir Kapoor movie that is loved by many. I have to say that I fall in the category that isn't really a fan of this film's storyline and its characters' decisions. I will forever stand by its beautiful music and performances and listen before you come with your pitchforks. You know I'm a Ranbir Kapoor fan, but this film is so self-serving to the narrative of Bunny that it completely disregards the feelings and sentiments of others. There are two couples in the film, one I love and one I believe are not meant for each other. Aditi, played by Kalki, marries Taran, and a lot of people assume and criticize the film that she essentially settled for a mid-man because she could not get her dream man in the form of Avi, played by Aditya Roy Kapoor. And I feel like this is a very, very immature take. It takes a little growing up to do and acknowledge on how Taran is a needle in a haystack and an ideal partner that Aditi didn't settle for but was happy to implicitly trust for the rest of her life. We often get distracted by the exterior of how people look, reducing love to the physical attraction between individuals, not realizing that a long partnership's foundation is based on mutual respect, trust and friendship that Taran offers. And what's even more paramount is the confidence and security he has for Aditi and her friends, never doubting their intention or questioning Aditi and her past.
तू जरा अभी से बात क्या करने लगी? जलन हो गई उसे?
वो जल नहीं रहा था. मुझे अवी के इंसल्ट करने से रोक रहा था।
There's nothing sexier than a partner who is inherently secure with themselves. It translates beautifully into a relationship, which I believe Aditi found in Taran. Moving to Bunny, the man chooses himself to study, travel and work for his professional success, at the cost of probably any stable personal relationship, but acts almost as if he has a right or ownership over the woman that he reunites with after 8 years.
मुझे नैना ने बुलाया। मैं नैना का बॉयफ्रेंड हूँ। चल।
He disconnects with friends like Avi and Aditi, but wants everyone to act normal as he randomly appears for Aditi's wedding. Bunny is lucky to have a doting Naina who is basically obsessed with him and keeps on telling him that she will fall in love with him if they spend more time together. Despite Bunny almost being a spectator to this relationship and even leaving her at Aditi's wedding, presumably going to Paris, it is only as an afterthought that he decides to visit Naina and rekindle the relationship. I just did not connect with this one person always being there, no matter how insensitive you might be. Some of the dialogues also that Bunny delivers to Naina to reassure her about the relationship are not romantic at all.
तुम भाग जाओगे
तो तू वापस ले आना।
मतलब तुम सच में भाग जाओगे?
अरे कहीं नहीं जाऊंगा यार, एक बार ट्राई तो कर ले।
Bunny as a character was someone that I just felt was selfish and everything eventually became conveniently resolved around him due to loyal friends and a doting girl who couldn't get over him after so many years. I will still listen to Kabira and shed a tear or what ifs in my life, but it's a movie that I think has a happily ever after for Bunny and Naina, a relationship that will crumble in a few months in my opinion because Bunny will suddenly feel कि वो वापस उड़ना चाहता है. Narsimha Naidu. You know, मतलब कुछ भी episode is incomplete if it does not feature Balayya, and I have found a gem that is so absurd, I can't believe it is even approved as a premise of a movie. The movie has many absurd gems as subplots. It presents Balayya as a classical dancer, by the way, fully showcasing his skills with such confidence as if he was the favorite disciple of Birju Maharaj Ji. Balayya is so adept as a human that his eyes can tame even wild dogs, instructing them to not attack him.
हमारी लंबी है हाइट,
सरेंडर करो या फिर करो हमसे फाइट,
छोड़ेंगे नहीं, डे हो या नाइट.
The film also features one of the most egregious product placements of Lux soap when Balayya's sister-in-law comes to visit him and refuses to have a shower with regular soap.
ఇద్దరం ఒకదాని మీద చేతులు పెట్టాం. దేని మీద? లక్స్ మీద. అప్పుడు కలిసినాయి మా లుక్స్. ఆ రోజు నుంచి లక్సే.
They have a full dance sequence too with the Lux logo plastered behind them. Preeti Jangiani, a girl from a rich and influential family, becomes his student, so obsessed with him that she leaves no stone unturned in taking care of Balayya's child, who he is raising alone. When the kid is crying and the friends go to get a bottle from the market, the star suddenly hears the cries stopping. How is this possible? Preeti is found breastfeeding the child, stating her case to Balayya, all portrayed with the most romantic background music. Of course, Balayya will fall in love. Why is he so hesitant in loving Preeti? What one realizes over time is that Balayya is not some ordinary teacher, but the influential Narsimha Naidu, who reacts violently when someone is wronged in the village. He had a wife played by Simran, who was killed by Preeti's father, played by Mukesh Rishi. In retaliation and in the mode of vengeance, they kill Narsimha Naidu's wife. Now he lives a simple life as a dancer, but his love for his first wife, Simran, remains. Hence he never opens up romantically to Preeti. But how does he get convinced? It's actually Balayya's father who convinces him because he notices how selflessly Preeti serves Balayya's child. It's not related to love, but the service that a woman is willing to provide for a child that is not hers.
शायद तुम्हें बीवी की जरूरत ना हो, लेकिन उसे माँ की ममता चाहिए.
Balayya, like an Agyakari son, warns Preeti's father that he will marry her come what may, fighting goons and realizing that Preeti is nowhere to be seen. This is where the clincher comes, guys. See, in a normal film, this would be a romantic union between Balayya and Preeti. Preeti always loved Balayya and Balayya beats up goons to marry the second time. However, the makers are not going to make this simple. The reveal is that Preeti is actually in the hospital, and listen to what she did.
अब ये कभी भी माँ नहीं बन सकती। इन्होंने अपनी मर्जी से ऑपरेशन करवा लिया है।
Because she knew that Balayya has no place for love in his life, she individually chose to remove her uterus so that the lone child between them would be the son he had with Simran, eradicating even the chance for them to conceive. The ultimate sacrifice described by the father as the golden Sita, an example of the biggest sign of loyalty, of purity and of honor. A woman willing to let go of what makes her biologically unique in this world, all for the sake of the union with the ultimate man, Narsimha Naidu.
आपने कहा था कि आपकी जिंदगी में श्रेया के अलावा और कोई नहीं आ सकता, पर मैं वादा करती हूँ कि रोहन को श्रेया की कमी कभी महसूस नहीं होने दूंगी। क्या अब आप मेरा हाथ थामेंगे?
What's going on? Doctor? I'm done. Cut the show. I'm done.
And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below whether you have some video ideas for our channel. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handles are right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.